Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Joseph and it's great to have you here today. Today I'm going to talk to you about 10 ways to tell if you are or not an INTJ. Now there's a bunch of these lists all over YouTube, all over the internet. Here is my version of it based on my personal opinion. So let's get to it. Kicking off this list is the first one of you have never had the thought that you're not human. Now what I mean by that is if you have never had the thought of trying to figure out how to fit in, how to act like all the other people in the world, then you're definitely not an INTJ. I'm sure that some people think about this at times, but for an INTJ, we stand out so predominantly against everybody else in the way that everybody else operates that we have to figure out how to fit in with everybody else. It's kind of like a lifelong thing that we have to go and think, oh, I have to act like a human in order to do something. So if you've never ever had that thought, you're not an INTJ. The second one here is tea is something you might drink. Now, if you look at this statement at face value, and you don't go searching for any information, you're more than likely not an INTJ. The real though gist of this is that as an INTJ, we have extrovert thinking. We like to express our thoughts outwardly to try and arrive at conclusions, or to get information, to keep bringing in information to sort through it all. So if you don't have that extroverted thinking, you're more than likely not an INTJ. So third here is that you might not be an INTJ if you ask questions that have obvious answers. If you ask a question that has a very obvious answer and you don't stop yourself to either realize that you know the answer or to go and look it up somewhere to find the answer for yourself, you're more than likely not an INTJ. As an INTJ, we want to collect information, and we're more than likely, even though we might express our ideas outwardly, we're more than likely going to find our answers by looking for them ourselves. So if you don't do that, you're more than likely not an INTJ. Fitting in with the last one, looking for answers bores you. If you get bored looking for answers to your questions for any reason, then you're more than likely not an INTJ. We like to find answers to our questions. We like to look for things. We like to get information. Almost the more information, the better in certain circumstances. But if looking for answers bores you, you're more than likely not an INTJ. So this next one is a pretty common trope, meme, whatever, for an INTJ. If you've never ever thought about taking over something, you're more than likely not an INTJ. For whatever reason, and I've done this personally myself, wondered what would happen if you were in charge of something, if you were taking over something. If you've never ever thought that, how things would be if you were in control of something, you're more than likely not an INTJ. It's just something that at least I have had that personal thought of, and we're not going to go in too personal as to what it is. So, yeah. If conversation is easy for you, then you are definitely not an INTJ. Again, as I've stated in a previous video, if small talk is something that you naturally do, something that you're really good at, you're not an INTJ. I'm sorry, but small talk is like another language. If you can do it, good for you, but you're not an INTJ. This next one is probably gonna ruffle a few feathers, so I'm definitely gonna have to explain it. If you have more than 2 friends at a time, you're more than likely not an INTJ. Now, I personally have more than just 2 friends. But how an INTJ works with that is that we will usually only talk to just a couple of people at one time. So if you have more than just a couple of people that you're talking to at any one point in time, that you're kind of staying current with, then you're definitely not an INTJ. It's something that we don't typically do. We will talk to just a couple of people at a time, and that's really it. So if you have more than 2 people that you talk to at a time, you're more than likely not an INTJ. You might not be an INTJ if you've never ever had to look up your feelings or ask somebody about how you might, should, or would feel about this, how to help you understand your feelings. I personally have done this. I've asked people, I've tried to look it up, I've tried to understand. And if you've never done this, then you're more than likely not an INTJ. This next one is not just exclusive to INTJs, it's something INFJs also do. But if you have ever sustained an injury and don't have a clue how you got it, then you're more than likely an INTJ. If you've never done that, you know where all your injuries have come from, you're more than likely not an INTJ. For whatever reason, and it's because of our inferior SE, we can run into things, get cut, get scraped, get bruised, and have not a clue how it happened. So if that's a thing for you, you might be an INTJ. If it's not, you're not an INTJ. If you have never stood off in a corner by yourself at any social function, whether it be a party, a family meeting, whatever, you're more than likely not an INTJ. I personally do this. I do this with family, I do this with friends, I do this at whatever few parties I've gone to. It's a thing we do. We naturally gravitate to corners, to outer lying edges of areas, to try and absorb the information around us, to take in everything that's going on, and otherwise just be in our own heads, because let's face it, that's where the party really is up here. So if you've never done that, you're more than likely not an INTJ. Now, as a bonus here, the last one, if you have a social battery that lasts more than about half hour, then you're more than likely not an INTJ. I'm sorry, but as an INTJ, we have to have alone time. It's something that is built into us. So if you have a social battery that is like charged more than like an hour, you're not an INTJ. So what do you think of the list? If you enjoyed it, please drop a comment down in the comment section below. Also share with me all your thoughts about what other ways INTJs are different from all the other humans. So please don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel if you're not already, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.